and we are live. Thank you so very much for joining me. I am your host, Omiinka 7, live coming at you. How's everyone doing this afternoon? I interrupt these airways to bring about a ceremony and dedication to my dear beloved sister who's just made her transition on day before yesterday. And I'm contacting the airways to let them know that another soldier has gone home. Another soldier has gone home. Miss Mattie Harvey, my beloved guardian, sister, and mother, has made her transition home. And I am contacting these airways to put on a homegoing for Miss Mattie Harvey. This is not a celebration of death, but this is a homegoing for my beloved sister, my partner, my ace boon coon, my friend, Mattie Harvey. Those of you who knew Mattie Harvey knew the mother well. Those of you who knew her as a social worker, as she guided the hands of those misguided students in school, as she worked with being a paraprofessional in Gary Community School District, as she worked with Dr. Bell and being an advocate for families and children. Not to mention as she worked on the polls for Mayor Hatchett and guided the hands of young people into learning how to lobby and to vote for candidates of their choice. Mattie Harvey was also a beloved mother of 7 children, not to mention the brothers and sisters that she adopted, Melvin, Mary Lou, Edward, Jean, and JC, and Sherelle. She adopted all of us into her household. And then she went on to adopt my deceased sister's 9 children, totaling 18 children. Those of you who knew the Harveys, the Brackens, and the Jenkins knew on the west side of town we ran things. Yes, we did. Mattie Harvey was an advocate in the community, and she was a beloved sister of all programs that pertain to young youth. She headed up the NYC program in getting young men and women jobs to work while she supervised them and guided them into understanding the value of work. Mattie Harvey raised up 7 boys and 11 girls. Yes, we were the house where all the girls were there. And for those of you who didn't know our family, it was a major disaster for you not to run into the family on the west side of town with the 18 children that Mattie Harvey adopted and raised. My dear sister adopted me, helping me to escape a system which I could have been involved in, but she saw fit to bring all of her brothers and sisters into her home and raise them up with her children. So there were 18 total of children. Mattie Harvey left this world in the arms of her dear son. She made her transition after a battle with surgery that didn't go well. Mattie Harvey was 86 years old. We were hoping that she would make it to her 100th year. Unfortunately, she has gone on to be with the ancestors, and now I know her better in the spirit, and I can contact her whenever I need to. Mattie Harvey was one of my favorites. She was a giver. She was born under the sign of Pisces, and Pisces really represented giving and loving and caring for others as if they were her own. Everybody's child was her child, and there was no one left outside that she could not see fit to go and help. I'd like for you to offer up a silent prayer for Mattie Harvey, praying that she made it on the other side. She is with the 101 elders, I know, and she's out there advocating and talking to them, telling them about the work that she started here on this side of the plain. Now, I like to give praise and honor to her today. That's why I interrupted these airways to come on here and see fit to give her eulogy, to give her dedication, and homegoing. We are not crying, we are not weeping. Mattie Ruth Harvey led a good, hearty, healthy life, and she came out of it on top. She had gone through living in a nursing home and being there on her own, being blind and functioning, and making the transition to go to the other side of earth is not a bad thing. We all are going to have to meet and taste the taste of death. No one will be able to escape that old man that's coming to get us for the transition of life. I'd like to thank those who are supporting our family. Hello there. Who is that? Skya, Jackie, how are you? Thank you so much. I'm waving back at you. Thank you for coming in and supporting this eulogy that I'm offering up for my sister. As you can see, I am not in tears because I know she would want me to go on living and to stride on her behalf. She was one of the special ones. She was one of the unique ones, the ones who would advocate for whatever children need. And she would go the distance, and she would fight for causes that were in her community. And one of them was jobs for the NYC right there on 12th Avenue, where she resided. She was able to buy a home in that neighborhood, not only one, but several homes. And she made reservations for those who didn't have homes. She lobbied and advocated for those who didn't have a place to go. She not only adopted her brothers and sisters and her sister's children, but she went on to adopt other children into foster care. And some of them know who she is, and she's raised them up. I like to say to Mattie Harvey's family, to the immediate Harvey family, you are going to experience a great loss with Mrs. Harvey being gone. The neighborhood will no longer be the same without her being there. And for those newcomers that just met her in Indianapolis, you were only just beginning to know who she was. She was a great woman, and her name should go down in history. There should be a statue erected to her for the work that she did, for the causes that she fought. And I come on these airways to talk about her accomplishments and the success stories that she had with families. Her main goal here and purpose were to make sure that families were kept together. And she made sure of it. She made sure that she made a home for her 4 brothers and sisters, and then her 9 nephews and nieces after her sister transition. And Mattie Harvey made marks throughout Beveridge Elementary School, throughout Tolleson High School, also turning to be a junior high. And she made marks in other school districts right there in Gary, Indiana, while being a paraprofessional. Mattie Harvey will be remembered for her greatness and the things she did for her loved ones as well as her friends and family. Those of you who played cards with Mattie Harvey knew her zest and knew her spontaneousness. Those of you who got out there on the front line for lobbying for Mayor Hatchett know who she is. You know her name. And now you will forevermore remember her name. As I give homage to her today, I like to bring her out in the light of those who are the accomplished ones, those who have made some marks. And I'd like to say thank you for praying our strength and our family's strength. Thank you for being there at a time when our family are at the lowest of lowest. Our matriarch person in the family has gone on, and another soldier has gone on. But she will leave her spirit behind. She will leave her consciousness behind for all of us to remember that we are our brother's keeper and that we ought to go to the aid and rescue of our brothers and sisters. And when blood calls, blood should answer. And I'm saying today that Mattie Harvey will be remembered and go down in history, if not by her children and her sisters and brothers, then her friends and loved ones will also rally her on, because she's been a friend to those who were in need. She even invited some of those into her home and gave them housing and gave them food and gave them mentoring. She supported them in whatever they needed, because she could not turn people away. She oftentimes said yes to things she couldn't complete, but she went on to support them by finding the support they need in the system. She knew how to cut through bureaucracy. She knew how to cut through the red tape to make sure that people were honored and giving them the right hand of fellowship and treating them like a puny human being. She knew that the lowest of low women that were on welfare should not have to stay there. She knew how to advocate for them and their children, and then going to the court system to fight for those children so that she could keep those children in foster care and protect them. And if anybody was to call her anything, she was the mother of the foster care system, because she knew it well. And whenever they called her to ask her to take a foster care child, she never responded with no. She always took them in, no matter who they were, black or white. And I'd like to say today, on behalf of my sister, Mattie Harvey, that she'll be remembered for her hefty smile and her determination to fight and work through the system and work through the proper bureaucracy. And today, as we take time to honor Mattie Harvey, I ask that you lower your flag a little bit on behalf of a soldier who has triumphed and fought the good fight of death, but lost. But in the end, she wins, because she goes on to become a spirit. And spirits can never die. And they are permanent and indefinite. And now you have a spirit with you, and that she will rest, rule, and abide with you at all times. She is the matriarch of our family, and she headed up our family as the oldest family member, 86 years old. We do have a brother that's 82 years old that's still living, and Mattie Harvey leaves behind a brother J.C. Jenkins, a brother Melvin Jenkins, and a sister Sherelle Jenkins. Not to mention her other sisters and brothers who've actually gone on before her. Now, I like to say, I don't want you to shed any tears for Mattie Harvey, but remember that she would want you to be able to stand strong, knowing that your time will come when you must transition and leave the face of this earth as well. And as I come on these airways, please do like and share. Tell someone that I'm on the air giving the eulogy for Mattie Harvey. Even if they don't know her name, tell them to come out and support. If they can walk with me now, I'll let them run with me later. So let them know that this time has been set aside, and we interrupt these airways to bring about a eulogy for Miss Mattie Ruth Harvey, who is certainly worthy of this time and this cause. And we are setting the record straight that she has only made a transition, and she has left the elders, and now she's with the ancestors, and she resides with the ancestors. And we can always tap into the ancestors. Mattie Ruth Harvey has only gone from amongst us, but she is still with us in the spirit. And I'd like for us to know this. All of her children that are still alive, that may appear on these airways, know that your mother and I were best friends, and nothing that she would deny me of, nor would I deny her of. I was her baby sister, and every time I came on these airways, I carried her with me as we talked about the radio station, and she became a partner with me on Blog Talk radio station, along with her son, Jimmy Harvey. And as we produced a show that was family oriented, she made sure that she brought up the rear with the prayer. She wanted to solidify the family with a prayer. And she worked diligently, even though she had lost her voice after the 3rd stage of cancer. She fought through it and recuperated and came on the air with me as oftentimes as her health would permit it. And she spoke and talked about the good fight of faith, and she spoke out on behalf of injustice, and she was always there to back me up on that radio show. And Blog Talk listeners, I want you to know that another soldier has made her transition. Another radio host that was at the age of 82 years old on the radio, still marketing and talking about how we can get over the grain house, how we can manage to be on top again. Mattie Harvey will be remembered for the Blog Talk radio station on Oracle Divination Network. And the flag should go up on behalf of her on that radio show. She did good. You did good, Mattie Harvey. You did good. And your work was not in vain. And we will not forget the work that you did in the communities and on the airways. I'd like to also say to her children, you are to be remembered by her martyr behavior. You are to be glad that you were a child that came from the womb of Mattie Harvey, and you are a recipient of her greatness. Remember Mattie Harvey always in her effort to go and plead on behalf of others so that they could be able to be balanced in their life, having food, having housing, having opportunities to work or what have you. I like to say on behalf of my sister that, as I mentioned in the end of my show, that this dedication goes out to Mattie Harvey and her baby sisters on the air. I was a baby sister to her, and that's how she knew me. And she knew that baby sisters can't wait, and baby sisters have to be taken care of. She ran to the opportunity to adopt me not only as her sister, but as her child, and raising me and rearing me. So I have a special connection to Mattie Harvey than the rest of the children. I'm her sister, and then her child, and then her best friend. My best friend has gone on home, and I will know her in the spirit, but I will not fight and cry over the fact that she's transitioned, because I know she is right here in my heart, and she could never leave me, because she has never left me in the spirit. We've always been able to subliminally tap into each other's spirit. And most of all, when I looked at her, she knew what I was thinking. She had my best interest, and I had her best interest. So today, I honor not only a general, but a corporal, and a corporate who ran the household and managed the household of 18 children, making sure we all stayed on the beat, and making sure that her husband worked with her diligently to rear 18 children. And I like to say it's an honor to come out of a household where we know that there was sincerity and dedication in raising children, and that we know she was successful, if nothing else, in being a parent. And I salute her today for her great parenting skills that she passed down to each and every one of us 18 children. And you know who you are. You're in parts of the state and different parts of this continent, and you know what Mattie Harvey meant to all of us. And every one of you this day ought to be saluting her and acknowledging her transition, because we cannot go on without stopping the status quo to talk about a general who has made her transition. To acknowledge her is to go before the courts and say, who is this woman? And to let the courts say, we know this woman to be a friend of children who have brought in and taken children into her home as foster care parent. We like to say that Mattie Ruth Harvey did not suffer as much. She did not strain in and have hard times, but God took her slowly on the way from here, and she drifted into darkness. I thank God that she didn't have to suffer, but I do know that she is somewhere with the 144 elders, and she's preaching the good news and the good message. And she believed deeply in her heart that God would come and use her to help others. She believed in the faith, and she walked by the faith, and she believed in the study. And she oftentimes studied and wanted to know the Bible and what God said. So she wanted to live by the rules of God and the Ten Commandments. So I say today, we set this day aside to talk about Mattie Harvey, because she is worthy. She is worthy to be talked about, and she is worthy to be called the first mother of children, and she is worthy to be acknowledged as a political mover and shaker, because she was right out there with Mayor Hatchett fighting and pushing for political issues. She was right in the mix all the time. I thank you for listening to the sound of my voice, and we have another guest here. How you doing, Edward? Thank you so much for joining me. We're having a commencement for Mattie Harvey, a homegoing, my dear sister, who made her passing this week, who transitioned as she slipped away into death in her son's arms as he talked to her and she made her transition. I thank you that she didn't have to suffer. I thank you that she went on to glory. And today I see fit to interrupt these airways to talk about my sister, to explain a little bit about who she was. When I got ready to go off to college, it was 3 of us who were going to enter into college the same year. And because her son, my brother, was able to get a ride on a scholarship, he was able to take one of us to college with them to Western Michigan. And it just so happened to be my other sister, Deborah, who went on to college with him. And she saw fit to send me to Purdue University alone there. And at the same time, she had sent 7 children off to college out of those 18 children. I think that's saying something. I really do. I think that that's saying that she valued education and put it high on her list. And I think that because she was not a degree person, she believed in academics, and she was in academia, and she went on to get her GED. After going to the 11th grade, she decided to go back and get her GED. So she was real concerned about education and academics and making sure that we got credentials. It's very important that people know that I was the baby sister as well as the sister to her children. So we called each other brother and sister. So she taught us that way. And she taught us to come to each other's rescue when there is something that we need to do to help one another. We believe in answering the call of blood. And I want to say that Mattie Harvey made a difference when she adopted her sister's 9 children, 9 of them all together that came from St. Louis, Missouri. And she brought them into her home, into her life, and reared them just like they was her own children. And I want to say today we interrupt these airways to acknowledge Mattie Harvey, to give her her just due, to let people know of the woman that she was. And I don't have to tell very many people in Gary, Indiana, they knew Mattie Harvey. They knew what she stood for. And out of all her friends that she played cards with, she was the last to go. And Mrs. Lewis, one of her best friends on the block. And you know who you are, the Lewis family, one of her best buddies. So we like to say that Mattie Ruth Harvey is going to be making her transition into the other side. And as she make her transition into the other side, let's pray her faith, that she makes it over. Let's pray that she comes into oneness with God, and that God will say, well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done. And that he will offer her the right hand of fellowship as she goes in to meet her Maker. And let's hope and pray that her deeds outweigh her bad days. Let's hope and pray that her heart is found as light as a feather as she goes through the comedic procedure and weighing her heart against the feather. And we like to also say that Mattie Ruth Harvey's children, we're also offering you our condolence for those of you who were Mattie's biological children. We say, keep your head up and stay strong, because this too will pass. God will take the sting of death away from you, so that you no longer feel the sting of death, but you'll know the benefit of making a transition from life cycle to death. It is a process that we must go through, and we all must meet our Maker, and we all must come into understanding that we will go into death after transitioning out of life. It is a cycle. We must all meet old rocking chair, and we cannot outrun death. Death will catch us and find us. And wherever we are, let's pray that we're ready. Let's pray that we have nothing that we feel like that we have not accomplished. Let's try to accomplish our purpose here on this earth, and knowing exactly what we came here to do. And we all know that we've been called to be evangelists, and that's what the good book says. So if we're all called to be evangelists, we're probably all called to be priests and priestesses. Let us live a priestly life. Let us live a royal priestly life, and understanding that when we want to acknowledge a person, let's give them their prompts, and give them their prompts while they're alive. Mattie Harvey got her prompts on a daily basis from people, and they oftentimes honored her while she was here in the flesh. We know that there's no reason not to honor her in her death. Let's honor her in her death today and give her all of the acknowledgments that she deserved. And we thank you so much that you have come to be with me this afternoon as I acknowledge my sister. Let me do roll call. Hello, Edward, Childress, and hello, Jackie, and Skya. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us today. And to my friends over on Spreaker, I say thank you so much, and we're going to go to commercial, Spreaker.
Blog Talk Radio.
Okay.
I'll be brief. I won't hold you up like.
Hello. Okay, we're back on Spreaker, and I want to say that we're on live on Facebook today, live here at the Oracle Divination. Well, actually, Oracle Divination Network is not on the air today, but we're live on Facebook Live and on Spreaker. Spreaker is the organic broadcaster where I do most of my health shows. And we want to say hello to those Spreaker followers out there, and we thank you for following us today. This is a special occasion. We interrupt these airways to bring about an actual ceremony, a homegoing for Mattie Ruth Harvey. Her husband, her late husband, was Tommy Pete Harvey. Some of you might have known him. He's a Native American man who brought us up Native American style. And we miss him very much. And now the two of them can share lives together as they meet up together in the spirit. We like to also say that here in Indianapolis, this is a new home for the radio station. And I hope to appeal to a lot of those that are locally here in Indianapolis, that you may come and join our studio as not only as a friend, but as a follower on Spreaker, as well as on Facebook. And you are listening to Omiinka 7 live here from the production studio by way of Oracle Divination Network. And we are just letting you know that you can sign up as a follower. And also give me the 2 thumbs up. Tell somebody about this show. Let them know that I'm airing right now, and invite someone to come and listen. Usually on Facebook, we have a great following, and I thank you, Facebook followers, for supporting me over the years. We celebrated 11 years on Blog Talk radio station, Oracle Divination Network. We initially started off as Care to Read, and then went on to Oracle Divination Network. That show itself is set aside for clairvoyant things. It's set aside for those people who would like to talk about their spiritual experience. And we talk quite candidly about the job of a priest and priesthood training. So you can always visit me on that show, go over. We have shows on demand, and you can download those shows. Now, once again, we are acknowledging Mattie Harvey and giving her the utmost praise. And if anybody would like to give any praises on behalf of the family or support, go ahead and type them on the screen. We would be happy to receive those. And once again, we like to say that we took this half an hour to set aside some time for Mattie Harvey. And now that we've done that, we'd like to thank you for that. And our regular show was viewing on the topic of, are you living well? And are you aging well? And one thing I did want to bring today, I wanted to bring some information about looking at, I wanted to deviate a little bit and talk to you about, not only does material things indicate that you're living well, but your spirit. Some people's spirits are vexed and they're brokenhearted and downhearted and they can't seem to go on. But that's a part of living well too. Not just getting a big house in the suburb and moving in and say, now I've got the epitome of living well. That does not only indicate that you're living well because you have those things. You must learn that just by the grace of God, when you accomplish something, you must go on and help somebody else come up the ladder too. But we are vexed in our spirit, and even more so, now we are worried about this election. What really did happen? Did someone steal the election from Trump? Did they illegally take votes and suppress them? All of this is coming out now, and we're wondering about society's character. And do they have this Iwa Pelu? That's something that the Africans give us through a theological African faith called good character and good conduct. If we are functioning and living with good character and good conduct, we're not going to do certain things. It's just certain things we just won't do. I've been taught those by a woman who honored telling the truth and doing good by yourself. And one of the things we were always taught, don't cheat, don't steal, and if you can not have to lie, unless it is to reprove somebody else, try your best to live by the virtues of life. And we got a problem. People are calling themselves living well, and they've got the spirit of whoredom, is it? They hoard everything. They lie, they cheat, they steal, but yet they say they're living well. No, you're not. You're lying, and the truth is not in you. You cannot be living well on a lie and doing destruction. You've got to understand that you have a conscience. And your conscience, if nobody else don't beat you up, your conscience will beat you up. And have you ever heard those saying when mother said, I can tell when you're lying. Your conscience is going to get the best of you. Don't let your conscience have to come and hunt you. Don't let your conscience have to find you and whoop you and beat you up at the last minute. Yes, some people have strong conscience and they can't sit and lie because their conscience is a tattletale. Will blow them up and start them to crying right in the midst of them lying. And they'll say, look at this old conscience. Once again, it stood me up. And it's tattletelling on me. That's right. That's why God gave you a conscience, so that your conscience will be able to remind you of the fact that you cannot continue to act in that manner. And if you do, you are going to truly be dealt with by your conscience. Now, I don't know if you guys see that or not, but in this particular segment, as I do Facebook, I've got this little white spirit that's following me, and it's been following me for a while now on Facebook. I don't know why, and we talked about this some time ago, but I will check into it and see what kind of little spirit is that following me. But I would like to say that, oh my God, there it is again. It could be the sun. Let me turn it this way. I would like to say that I want to use this time to talk about health and wellness on this part of the show. Mattie Harvey would agree and encourage me to do that because we talk about alternative measures and treatments with her. And she was a known person to take alternative treatment. And that's what got her better and helped her recuperate from the 3rd stage of cancer. So in this segment, we're talking about alternative health and wellness. Are you living well? Are you aging well? Now, as you know, when you get up in age, sometimes it gets a little difficult to tell your age and to tell people how old you are. And people want to know, how old are you? Because they want to try to size you up with life and see if you're aging well. Now, we know that just consuming food is not all that we need. We need good information to help us to age well and to think well. We cannot continue just to feed our bodies and not our souls. Our souls need to be fed as well. And we need to know that living well means not only aging well. What happened to the people over here? Where did they go? Oh, what happened? Well, okay. Now, I want to see if people are still here. Okay, we're going to try to see if we can get any of these people back. Looked like they had went out or something. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say thank you for joining me this afternoon and being a part of our segment, part 2, Are You Living Well? Are You Aging Well? I had planned a real strenuous, upbeat type of segment for part 2, but on the account of the transition of Mattie Harvey, we want to downplay that a little bit because the spirits are willing. The body is willing, but the spirit is weak right now. So we like to say, on behalf of Are You Living Well? We know that Miss Harvey had an alternative lifestyle initially before she went into the nursing home, and then her whole diet changed. But what we want to say is that diet is not the only thing that will help you to live well. Your spirit must be intact. And if your spirit is not intact, you can easily come down with the suffering because the spirit is attached to how we feel. And we want to make sure that we are feeling well so our spirit will be intact. And that's what Nina Simone sings about. When you are young, gifted and black, oh, how I long to see tomorrow. And there's a world waiting for you when you are young, gifted and black, with your soul intact. And that's a fact. She wanted your souls to be intact. And if your souls were intact, then you could be young, gifted and black. Now, if your souls are not intact, you're going to suffer. It's going to suffer much. And it's important that we put our spirits in good frame of mind. Let your heart, not your heart, be troubled. Believe in me and lean on me, and let not your heart be troubled. But have your heart in a good disposition so that you can believe on God and that He will lift you. And the sting of death will pass you too. This too will pass. This is only temporary. But it will pass, and we will uplift ourselves on a daily basis. And I want to thank you so much that you have traveled with me on many journeys, and this is just one of the journeys where we have to experience death. Let us experience that together. Let us realize that we are all going to meet our Maker and make that transition. But we must keep our spirits held high, knowing that we have met the cause and We have fought in this journey, and we have overcome. So we know that in times of trouble, we've got to believe that God is who he says he is, and he lives within inside of us. And as we encourage ourselves to see God on the inside of us, we know who God really is, and he lives on the inside of us. But we can do a better job of making sure we live well by acknowledging the things we're supposed to acknowledge. One of the things I want you to know is that we are all one. We're not an individual. We are a universal communal concept. Just as a little bit of me dies, a little bit of you dies. And just as Mattie Harvey made her transition, we all parted with her. But we know that in a little while we'll become one and we'll be together. And we must see that this thing is all about us making it back to the journey. And things are sometimes hard for us to understand, but in the by and by, we'll begin to understand that life is a part of death, and it must be experienced by all men and women. Gonna be an uphill journey. It's gonna be a long, long climb. It's gonna be some tough time and lonely nights, but still I'm ready to carry on. So glad that the worst is over. See, it almost took me out. I can fly free now. Oh, my best days are right in front of me. Yet I'm almost free. Yes, I'm almost free. You see, anything and everything that you do, you can't deny it's true, 'cause I'm the living proof. So many guys have tried, but they just couldn't make it through. But look at me, yeah, I'm the living proof. Yes, I am. You know I am. I'm the living proof. So many of us have tried and we didn't make it through, but we have to see ourselves as a living proof. Another soldier is gone home. Another soldier is gone home. Another soldier is gone on home. Another soldier is gone on home. Another soldier is gone on home. Yes, another soldier's gone on home. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you and to speak to you about the transition of Mattie Ruth Harvey as we talk about her getting over the greenhouse and making it on the other side. We pray that she's standing, not wanting, but listening to the higher force saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Well done." Another soldier has come home. Oh, we thank you so much for this opportunity to be with us in our time of grief. We thank you for supporting us and being there with us as we get through this hard time. We know that God will not pass any of us by. We all will meet that challenge of death. And I ask that you pray the strength of my family as we go on to manage in this world.